Donald Trump has failed to cover up his relationship with and the crimes he committed alongside Jeffrey Epstein, not only because his attempts to distract have only made us focus more on this scandal, but everything he's tried to hide has inevitably come out. And the latest example is the 1 minute of deleted footage from Jeffrey Epstein's cell in prison the night he died being exposed. Finally exposed by the FBI. Yes, and we are going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into how this footage has been exposed and what it means for the lies that Donald Trump has told us, I want to start with someone who is perfectly calling out this scandal, keeping it alive, and making our focus where it needs to be. That was Pete Buttigieg right here.
The Epstein thing is an issue he campaigned on. He made this big deal about, I'm going to come in and we're going to release these on day one. There was that event with Pam Bondi waving around the binders. Still don't know what the hell was in these binders. But they went so much further than just saying like, oh yeah, I'll do the right thing on that. The same way he's saying like, I'm going to bring peace to the Middle East or whatever. Maybe even his supporters didn't actually believe him on that. Yeah. But on this, I think they believed him, because he said he would.
He created that paper trail for it.
Yeah, and that whole worldview is based on this idea that there are powerful people who were involved with Jeffrey Epstein, and he was going to fight them. But we all know for a fact that there were powerful people who were involved with Jeffrey Epstein, and he was one of them. This is not a controversial or complicated fact. It's
objective statement.
Yeah, and it's not just footage of them like having their picture taken together someplace. It's footage of them like ogling women together, dancing and shit, So you add all of that together, and I think... And then his response to the response has revealed how gullible he wants to think his own base is. And I think a lot of people look at that and say, wait a minute, this is not just like you insulting the libs, which you know some of his supporters thrill to. It's his supporters saying, wait a minute, you're insulting me. And that's a whole different thing.
Do you think there's a list? And also, where do you think this all ends?
I don't know what's actually in there. What I know is that there's enough of a there that they said they would push it out and then they won't, right? And I think it's extraordinary that the Republicans have decided they would rather shut down the entire United States House of Representatives for 2 months rather than face a vote on this. So how this ends, that's harder to say, because at the end of the day, he still controls these files. He controls whether to release them or whether to block them, and he's decided to block them. And the other thing is he will always do what's in his interest, right? So it was in his interest to pretend he was going to release them before, so he promised he would. Now it is in his interest to block them. We can all imagine why. As long as he thinks it's in his interest to block them, and as long as he's the president, it's not obvious that anybody can make him.
Democrats do not need to work that hard to connect this to a broader class issue. And that is what we should be focused on every single day, whether it's talking about Donald Trump's domestic agenda or talking about his Epstein scandal. Donald Trump will always work to protect special interests, especially if those interests are his. Always, if those interests are his. Donald Trump isn't just covering up for himself. When Pam Bondi decided this was a closed case, that she wasn't investigating any further, what she was actually doing, more so than just helping Donald Trump, was protecting the rest of the abusers in this cabal of criminals. That is what Pam Bondi has done, because Donald Trump doesn't care about victims. He just wants to exploit their stories. And of course, that's what Kash Patel and Pam Bondi did as well, especially when they were talking about footage, which they appeared to have differences of opinions on, which are now being blown up.
Again, logical play out. If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
Tens of thousands of videos.
So Kash Patel said there was no footage, but Pam Bondi says there's lots of footage. Well, the truth is, yeah, there is more footage. And of course, it was tampered with by Trump, Bondi, and Patel. But now sources within the FBI are revealing just how that happened, and it's blowing up Donald Trump's scandal. FBI has secret Epstein prison tape with no missing minute. Metadata revealed that the version released to the public was missing up to 3 minutes of raw footage. The FBI has a version of the surveillance video filmed near Jeffrey Epstein's prison block on the night of his death. Unlike the video released to the public, it's not missing a minute of footage. Earlier this month, the Department of Justice released nearly 11 hours of CCTV footage taken inside the Metropolitan Correctional Center, intended to show that Epstein had died by suicide. The Trump administration immediately faced questions about why the time code displayed in the video indicated that the minute before midnight was not included in the clip. The DOJ said the full raw clip would have captured anyone entering Epstein's cell the night he died, but forensic analysis showed the video was edited repeatedly over several hours, with about a minute of footage missing. Now, government sources say the FBI, Bureau of Prisons, and DOJ Inspector General all possess a copy of the video that contains the infamous missing minute, CBS News reported. It's still not clear what the minute shows or why it is missing from the video. I think we can assume, according to CBS. The FBI and DOJ declined to comment, and the Bureau of Prisons told the network it had no additional information to provide. What a shock. The missing minute has been fodder for conspiracy theorists who believe Epstein, who was awaiting trial on trafficking charges when he died the night of August 9-10, 2019, was murdered to protect powerful clients and associates. Bondi hasn't shared any other footage confirming that explanation, though, and surveillance video experts told CBS that resets aren't a feature of most video systems. The footage was taken in a cell block in the special housing unit where Epstein was held at the MCC. The block is near Epstein's cell, but doesn't show it. Instead, a common area and set of stairs leading to various tiers, one of which held Epstein's cell, are visible in the back third of the frame. It is quite possible that someone from another part of that area could have gone up into his cell. We don't know because we don't have anything on his cell door. The doors they show in that video are not of his cell. So it has been exposed from sources within the FBI that there is no missing minute, that it did not delete itself, that it did not just explode or combust or somehow the camera malfunction, because that happens all the time. It actually is a specific setting on the camera that it has to reset during obscure times when it's needed most. No, the FBI has the full footage, and they're not releasing it. Why? Again, this goes back to the statement being made about Donald Trump's involvement in these files, that we're only releasing what's credible. And we know what credible means. Credible means not damaging to Donald Trump's credibility within his MAGA movement. And when they talk about video, they often say that we can't release anything that's not for public consumption involving children. But they also don't release anything involving Donald Trump's name. So do those things overlap? Is this one of the many videos that implicates Donald Trump that they're not releasing? Are there other videos involving Epstein in kids that they're not releasing? Because as we know, the FBI has combed through all of these documents, all of these videos, and made sure they could compile a database where Donald Trump is mentioned. And what is so important about that, and the distinction between Donald Trump being mentioned in written text and in video, is that the written text of Trump is on a big server that is available to anyone in the FBI. That's not the case for the video. So what's so different about the video that Donald Trump could potentially be implicated in? What's so different about that footage, those tapes, that they have to keep it a little bit more secret, that they're destroying it? I don't know. Something to think about. Something I'd love to get actual testimony from, but of course that's not going to happen because Donald Trump is only using Ghislaine Maxwell as a puppet. And Ari Melber broke that down right here.
We begin with Trump slipping into what has become the unlikely political quicksand. As you know, you follow the news, there have been many controversies and policy problems and failures in these first 150 plus days of the Trump administration. But the political problem that clearly is the largest for him on the center right, the right, and now engulfing really his entire DOJ is the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Today, there are new reports Trump is, quote, fuming at the uproar, taking down him, his agenda, his presidency at this point. And while there are many different ways to cut up this scandal, what you can see very clearly is that this one has virtually no typical defenders of the president. One podcaster says it is Trump's biggest bipartisan scandal this year, meaning that the outrage runs from the MAGA right to the center right, where there's sometimes critiques of Trump, to Republicans who were never with Trump to begin with, to the center left, to the far left, to legal experts. The press has been all over the story, from the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, the New York Times, all across TV. Demands for information coming from elected Democrats and Republicans and MAGA leaders. And now the disturbing comments from Trump. Today, while he's in Scotland, he was faced with these Epstein questions. When you are the president, the job goes with you. And even a master of PR distraction like Donald Trump has found he cannot get away from this story, even if there are credible accusations that he and people in his administration are abusing power, cooking up fake stories and fake investigations just to try to get anyone talking about something else. It's clearly not working. It's not working tonight on this broadcast, for example, because we always try to just follow the big stories and facts, not the bouncing ball distractions. But quite frankly, it's not working in general. And when you deal with someone tied to this sex trafficking scandal, the person who has faced the largest legal accountability, Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's co-conspirator, it would be baseline obvious for any responsible leader in any party to say that justice is served and she will serve out her term in prison. But Donald Trump, for whatever reason, is now unable to do that. You may have noticed this story came up last week. It's come up again tonight with these questions where, after interviewing her at the Trump DOJ and after all of this scrutiny, Donald Trump won't rule out a potential pardon or commutation for her. And Epstein victims warn that she is a convicted perjurer. Trump won't rule out the pardon. I want to show the totality of what he said, as mentioned recently, and then again today.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if she's cooperating?
It's something I haven't thought about. It's really something. It's something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
Mr. President, we didn't completely rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell when you landed. Is that something you would ever consider, and why?
Pardon for who?
For Ghislaine Maxwell.
Well, I'm allowed to give her a pardon, but nobody's approached me with it. Nobody's asked me about it. It's in the news about that aspect of it, but right now it would be inappropriate to talk about it.
That's a lot of words. I'm going to show you what the attorney says in a moment. But first, let me just say something about what we heard from the president. That's a lot of words without just saying convicted people in this Epstein saga, whether you call them perjurers or sex traffickers or co-conspirators, but people convicted for these horrific crimes, which so many people say or claim to care about, people convicted will not get out early, will not get leniency. If you've ever followed pardon stories, it is usually people who have been wrongly convicted or convicted and overcharged, so they serve many years for something small, say something nonviolent.
This is a complete cover-up. Now, sure, it's a failure because it's not achieving its objectives, but we know it's a cover-up. And we're going to continue to call it out on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.